welcome back to our series. Today I'm going to be talking about the 11th prophet, which is Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So I'm going to start this off by saying an ayah from the Quran, which is an ayah 7 from Surah Yusuf that says, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ آيَةٌ لِلسَّائِلِينَ, which means indeed in the story of Yusuf and his brothers are lessons for those who ask. Which I just as a reminder that all of us should take all these stories that we're giving y'all and apply it to our lives. It's not just stories, it's lessons, it's life lessons.
Every single prophet story in the Quran, it's all lessons. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just reveal it for us just to like read it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
it's
we're
for us
supposed
to
take away.
implement.
There's a reason he
use it
gave
in
us the
our life.
Quran.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting off the story is with Prophet Yusuf and his family. He had 11 brothers and his father Prophet Yaqub. So he was the youngest one, and his brothers were always so jealous of him.
Yeah.
Because they always told their dad, like, you love him more than you love us, which is never true. Prophet Yaqub he was a prophet. He treated all of them equally.
These are probably all thoughts from Shaitan.
It's really the whispers of Shaitan. They were all very jealous of him. So the brothers used to always go, and they used to go on trips and get sheep and stuff like that. But Prophet Yusuf was too young. He was much younger than them. So one day they were like, I think Prophet Yusuf was about 16 years old at this time, and they were all like,
they were plotting against him.
They were plotting against him. They were like, but they played it off as in they love their brother so much. Like, let him come with us. Like
they just want to play with him.
Like, let him come
that
with
was
us.
like the scapegoat.
And the dad was like very suspicious.
But the reason why the dad was suspicious of them is because Prophet Yusuf had a dream of 11 stars and the sun and the moon prostrate to him. And this dream was a sign that he was a prophet. But Prophet Yaqub always told him, don't tell your brothers because they're so jealous of you. And that's why his father was always reluctant when it came to his brothers. So after a lot of convincing,
and
they're like,
the father even told him, like, I'm scared a wolf might eat him. And they were like, no.
But and then the brothers were like, do you not trust us for your sins too? And then at that point, like, what is the father supposed to do? You know?
Family convinced him. Even though they're
And if he said no, it's like you don't trust us, like we're your sons, but you trust me, you don't
They basically gaslight him at the end of the day. So they take Prophet Yusuf with them, and they go, and guess what? What do? They find a dry well, they throw him into it. No food, no water, nothing. They just leave him to
That's
starve.
so like inhumane.
That's
so
inhumane.
Yeah.
And they did all this because of what? Because they were jealous. Like it was that deep to them.
So they had to go to
they would rather
to
kill their brother so they could feel more love.
I feel like this could be a lesson. Like sometimes, like I feel like everyone has moments where they feel jealous of someone because like, oh, like you have this, like I want this and you have it. But you need to remember like what you have. Like don't compare yourself to people who have more than you. Actually, everyone has what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave. You shouldn't be happy with it.
I say alhamdulillah for what you have.
Another thing is, don't flaunt what you have. Like, Prophet Yusuf could have gone to them and been like, I'm a prophet, like, y'all aren't. No, whenever you have something, be humble about it and hide it from other people. Because you never know, there's hasad everywhere.
Yeah, and people don't always want what's best for you.
And there's black magic, so.
So basically, what they did is they took off Prophet Yusuf's shirt and they went and they showed it to the dad and they're like, oh look, there's sheep's blood on it. We're so sad. They acted like they were crying. The dad was crying. It was the whole sob scene. And they were like, we're so sad. Our brother's gone. And it was all just a bunch of lies. Okay? So basically, Prophet Yusuf, imagine being by yourself in a well. No
That's
food,
so scary.
no
That's
water,
so scary.
nothing.
That's actually really scary.
All he had was Allah. All he had was his
you
trust
can
in
almost
Allah.
drown.
No, it was dry.
It was dry. And all he had was this. Even if there was water, still.
It's so scary.
All he had was his sabr in Allah. And this teacher always have sabr. He waited in that well and he kept his trust in Allah and he never fell off of that. So one day, a caravan's passing by and they find Yusuf in the well, Prophet Yusuf in the well. So they grab him, they take him, they sell him. And eventually he ends up in Egypt as getting adopted by the king there and his wife.
Wait, isn't that really good? Because then, if he's adopted by them, he can get knowledge, how to like read, write, do everything.
So he went
and
from
he can go
being
back
in
to
a
his
well
dad.
to being the son of a king.
That's really good.
Wow.
Like that shows like just have patience in Allah. Like it might seem like you have nothing, or it might seem like, oh, I made dua to Allah for something and I didn't get anything. Allah has something better for you. None of your du'as are ever unanswered. Like we should always keep that in mind. Like I know right now we're in Ramadan and we're all wanting like, oh Allah, give me this, give me that, give me this. Like, oh, I want a new car. You don't have a new car. You don't know. Maybe in the future there's a better car meant for you. Yeah. Always have trust in Allah and always have patience. That's Jesus. So he goes from being literally a slave, from being in a well to a slave to the son of a king.
Yeah, wow.
But turns out the wife of the king has different intentions. Okay.
Wow.
I want y'all to know that Prophet Yusuf was beautiful. He was literally beautiful.
And it literally says like he was the most beautiful person like ever.
Like if he was sitting right here, he would mock all of us. Like he was beautiful.
And then he had half of the world's beauty in like on his face.
So basically, whenever the wife saw this, she literally could not resist. She did anything she could to try to get the prophet. But the Prophet stood on his ground. He stood on business. He was like, I'm not getting with you. It's haram. Like, at the end of the day, he trusts Allah more. He loves Allah more. He's gonna wait.
She's also like married, so.
She's also married. She's literally older than him. Like, it was just all the red flags, you know. So but the Prophet stood strong. So one day, he was in a room with.
No, she tried to rip him.
Yeah, one day she was with him in a room, and she tried seducing him. Like, she really wanted him. She tried seducing him. He literally ran from her. Okay.
That's good.
He
Run away.
He tried escaping her. She grabs him by the back and rips the back of his shirt. Okay, and he gets away. Then she wants to search the story. She goes.
Yeah, and then the king comes. No, he comes in and he sees.
Yeah, the king sees and he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "He tried to get me. He tried to."
Liar.
She messed up the story.
Liar.
Okay, and the king like. If you're the king and you have your wife and you have this guy you just adopted,
You're gonna
this
trust
guy
your
you
wife.
adopted, who are you gonna trust? You're
Your
gonna trust
wife.
her. The wife has so much more power. But someone says, if his shirt is torn from the front, then she speaks the truth and he is of lies. And if his shirt is torn from behind, then she lies and he is one of the truthful
Because
ones.
he can't do this and tear. Like
what
no
is
one
that?
does
Like,
that.
do
Like
something
you
You
for
can't
can't
go like that.
This is the ayah from the Quran, by the way, ayah 26. So basically, they look at the shirt and obviously it's torn from the back. So the king was furious with her. He felt betrayed. He felt disgusted. Like, his wife was so indecent. And
everyone found out about it. All the
trust me,
rooms
the
are
news got around. There's nothing well. If you hear this, it got gossip.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like what she
Everyone's
doing?
talking
Like,
about
oh
That's,
my god,
like-
she tried getting with her son.
Yeah.
it.
So, but don't worry, she had a friend. She was like,
oh.
by the way, guys, just wait and see. Hear me out. She was like, once
Hear
y'all
me out.
see him, y'all would understand. Y'all
Oh,
understand,
hot
you know?
take. Hot take.
They were like, she was like, hot take. But it wasn't even a hot take. It was just a normal take, bro. So, she gathers 40 women, okay? And she puts them all so that they can all see Prophet Yusuf. And they all agreed. They were like, wow, she looks like an angel.
Weren't they like
That's probably a
cutting
good
an
idea.
apple with a knife and they
Oh,
all
they
cut
cut-
their hands?
yeah.
just
They
looking
cut
at him.
themselves because they were so astonished by the way he looked.
Wow.
Like,
Imagine how
wow.
much beauty he had.
They were literally dazzled by his
Mashallah.
beauty.
Mashallah.
So they cut their fingers and they were like,
And she's like, that's
this
why.
cannot be a human being, he must be an angel. So, but the wife was also so angry with Prophet Yusuf because he literally caused her to be like ridiculed. Like, so what she does, and she was like, I'm not gonna let this slide. So she goes and she tries accusing him with false charges of assault so he can be imprisoned. Okay? And what happens? He gets imprisoned. So,
This is another
the
test.
king kept getting pressured by his wife, and even though Prophet Yusuf was innocent, he was put in prison. So imagine you are a Muslim, you're a strong Muslim, you're a prophet. You're the prophet, you're a prophet, and you get put in prison.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have patience? It's
And
really
take
hard
that,
to
like
have
take it
patience.
as like a test from Allah. You're gonna get hasanat as you go through it.
And the reason why the king did this, his mindset behind this was, oh, if I do this, then the people are gonna forget the actions of my wife, and Prophet Yusuf is gonna lay in prison, so her dignity will come back. Okay, so whenever Prophet Yusuf was put in prison, there was 2 other guys with him that were also in prison, and one would serve wine to the king, and the other was a royal cook, and they were both accused of trying to poison the king. So one day, the next day, the wine server told Prophet Yusuf, I saw in a dream that I was crushing grapes to make wine for the king. And the cook said, I dreamt that I was carrying some bread in a basket on my head and birds were pecking at that bread. Okay? So both men saw that Prophet Yusuf was a really good person. He was always honest, he was pious, he was noble. And they asked him, hey, can you interpret my dreams for me? So he took this opportunity to preach the religion of Allah to Muslims. He's literally in prison
Yeah,
by
and he's
himself.
still making
and he's
da'wah.
still preaching about Allah. He never, his trust and patience in Allah never wavered. So he promised to tell them the meaning of their dreams and told them that it was a special power given to them by Allah. And he explained to them how senseless it was to believe in various gods, and explained to them the oneness of Allah and the day of resurrection. So he said, oh my prisonmates, the man who dreamt that he was crushing grapes will soon be released from here and will go back to his previous post. The second one, who carried the bread on his head in the dream, will be executed and the birds will start to eat his brain.
Wow.
Prophet
wow.
Yusuf
Scary.
thought of getting himself released from prison through the wine server. So he told the king, he told him to remind the king of his innocence. Like, hey, remind like my supposed father that like I'm innocent and I need to get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
So once he saw him. So the dreams of both of the men came true, just as he told, and one of the captains was released and the other was king. unfortunately, the wine server forgot all about Prophet
Shaitan made him
Yusuf.
forget.
Yeah.
She told me. Okay, so basically, sorry guys, part 2. So what happened is that he interpreted one of the dreams as for 7 years there's not gonna be crops. There's gonna be a big fat famine for the people of Egypt, and for 7 years this will happen, and all the people will starve. And so everyone right now should try to make as much grain as they can so they can have food. So whenever the king heard about this, he was so happy, and he ordered the prophet Yusuf come so that he could use his wisdom for his problems. But he had been in the dungeon for so long, and even though he'd been in the dungeon for so long, he refused to leave until his innocence was proved. He said, I will not come out of the prison until the king makes inquiries about my case. Tell the king to ask the wives of the noblemen about the time when they cut their fingers on seeing me. So they went and they told the king, and they explained all this, and then they all confessed the truth. And they also testified that Prophet Yusuf was innocent of any guilt. So then he got out of prison. So then the Prophet Yusuf is now in the royal court. He is literally like, he's just like the king now. So what happens is he has his new duties. He's doing whatever, like he's saving the place, no famine, and everywhere comes to Egypt because they're the only place without famine because of his dream, you know. So whenever they're there, they see he sees all of his brothers. All his brothers come to him for food because they're starving, and his brothers don't recognize him.
him.
They
Yeah.
really
He
don't
recognizes them.
But he
it's
sees
been
them.
so long, they don't recognize him. So he's so pleased to see them, and then
Oh, that's so nice. Like
Yeah,
he's so
he-
happy to see them. Like
Even though like
if
they
it was
tried to kill
me,
him.
my siblings threw me in a well, and I saw him after 7 years. I would not be happy to see
he was
them.
so happy to see them. But he was sad because he didn't see one of his brothers, Benjamin, and
Wasn't he also like the second youngest?
And he was
Yeah,
also like
he was
another
also
one.
young.
He was like the child that like no one really cared about. Like they kind of pushed him away.
so then eventually he tells them, and he asked them to explain about them, and they introduced themselves, and they told him about his father and his mother, and he was so happy to hear that Prophet Yaqub was okay and his brother was good. And so then he gives them more than enough food to take back. Even though they literally tried killing him, he still gave them more than enough food. So he gave all of them a certain amount of grain, but he said, if you don't bring my brother, like he didn't tell him it was your brother, but he said, if you don't bring him next time, we're not going to give you any more. So they go home and they come back and they bring him. So whenever they go, but it was hard for them to convince Benjamin to come with him. So Prophet Yaqub was like, no, I don't trust y'all. But after eventually they keep begging just like last time. So whenever they get to Egypt, the brothers proceeded to the court of Prophet Yusuf, and they presented to him Benjamin, and he was so happy to see his youngest brother, and he invited all of them to go eat with them. So later, they told Benjamin to sleep in his room, and he revealed his identity to Benjamin, and he explained about everything, and he explained his life to him, and his brother was so happy to see.
Yeah.
So whenever they got what they needed from Prophet Yusuf, Prophet Yusuf had a big plan. His plan was, I'm gonna make it seem like Benjamin stole something. That was basically the plan. And whenever this happened, they were like he was like, I'm gonna keep Benjamin with me. So then they replied, "O Aziz of Egypt, our father is old and weak. You may detain any of us, but not Benjamin." Because they knew how sad his father would be if they found out. His father was not going to trust them again.
Yeah.
So Prophet Yusuf said this, and then he said he wasn't guilty, and the brothers had no choice but to leave. So the oldest brother refused to leave without Benjamin, so he also stays. So they reunite, and whenever Prophet Yusuf found out, he was heartbroken. He literally went blind from how sad he was. He was crying so hard he went blind. He couldn't see anymore. So Prophet Yusuf reminded, according to their father's instructions, the brothers came back to Egypt for the third time, and they pleaded for Benjamin to come back. And the Prophet Yusuf reminded them of how bad they treated their brother Yusuf, and how they did all that to him. And then they were like, "Wait, are you Yusuf?" And they're like, "Yeah, I am Yusuf." And they were just like, "Oh my God!" Like the whole time. And he was pious, and he was patient, and his hardships, and he was always rewarded by Allah. So whenever the brothers heard this, they were so in shame, and they asked him for forgiveness. And Prophet Yusuf forgave them. He was like, "Allah may forgive your sins." Like he did not hold a grudge against them whatsoever. So whenever this happened, whenever they went back, the father was like, "I smell Yusuf's fragrance. I hope you will not think that I am weak in judgment due to my love for him." And they said, "By Allah, you are still making the same old error." When someone brought him the glad news, Yusuf's shirt was placed on his face, and his head was rewarded. And he said, "Did I not tell you that I know about Allah, that which of you do not know?" So basically, Allah literally blessing brought his eyesight back.
Yeah.
And then the Prophet Yaqub goes to Egypt immediately. They're reunited. Happy story. Yeah, and he lived in Egypt for 17 years, and that's basically the story. So lessons are have patience, have trust, and yeah.
Yeah, and be forgiving. Like, we learned from the story that in Surah Yusuf, that after all this, his siblings tried to kill him. He hasn't seen them in so many years. All this, he still forgave them at the end. This shows that we should be forgiving with people and like anyone around us. Don't hold grudges.
Yeah, it's and also always preserve your honor and your dignity. Like if you're not, like, prove yourself innocent if you're innocent. So yeah, guys, I hope you all enjoyed, and
Bye.
stay tuned for our next video.
Bye.